Jacob, on this day in 1925, the legendary Yogi Berra was born, the Hall of Fame baseball player who marked up 18 MLB All-Stars, 13 World Series championships with the Yankees, the Mets, a couple MVPs and whatnot. Jacob, as a Yankees fan, man, you gotta love Yogi Berra, huh?
I mean, absolutely, he's one of the all-time greats, but his greatness comes from his awesome oral skills. His speaking skills are fantastic. If you're ever having a bad day, just look up yogiisms and everything will be better.
A legend of baseball for sure. But Jay, I'm gonna just kind of ask you a question here about this because I see Yogi Berra, and we've kind of craft on back in the day and like how people, but when we had our Hall of Fame talk and stuff like that. Jay, would you rather be a really good, let's just, I don't care if it's baseball or whatnot, a really good baseball player getting the highest paid wing championships in like the 1950s and 40s, or would you rather just be like an average player like in any sport today, just kind of like
Oh,
because I mean, back then, like you're absolutely amazing, but clearly the game has changed. Or you could be on an average team, making whatever, and win a couple championships, we'll say, or like win a championship, but like never MVP or like look as a legend.
like I'm gonna go with being a legend in the 40s and 50s because like you're gonna be remembered. Like people remember Bob Cousy. That's been a big thing between Mad Dog and JJ Redick lately is Bob Cousy. People remember Bob Cousy, and Bill Russell and George Mikan and those guys. I'm not Bill Russell, but like Cousy and Mikan probably sucked by like today's standards. Like, so I mean, like it basically like would you rather be them or would you rather be like Danny Green? Like,
Yeah,
no one's
and
gonna
I'm gonna
remember
tell you,
Danny Green, and Danny Green would have dropped 80 a game in the 50s.
and so what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna take the nowadays because I'm always thinking about the money, and I actually looked up Yogi Berra's salary. He got paid $58,000, which what I translated to like inflation stuff would be half a mil in today's world.
Yeah, I mean,
Which,
today's players are
which
paid significantly more than they used to. Even when adjusting for inflation, they're paid significantly more than they used to. Even like 80s and 90s.
So basically, I'm gonna take the average player winning a couple championships or so and getting paid like $5 million to do it because I just always think about the money. As long as I win a couple championships, part of a team, I might be part of a legendary like the Bucks or something, and be like, oh yeah, I was part of that team. They're gonna remember Giannis, but be like, oh yeah, I was on that team right there. But I had to ask you that question because it's always kind of been in my mind before, and with Yogi Bear, I was like, it's got to be a good question to ask here. But welcome, boys and girls, to the Long Brother podcast. Where today we're kind of going to be all over the board with the NFL and college football, NBA, and MLB, kind of all over the board today. But to start our podcast, actually, is that we start with college football. With the ACC is discussing to go to a 3-5-5 scheduling and ending the divisions. So there'll be no more divisions. What would basically come of that would be almost like just the Big 12, where top two teams will play each other in the conference championship. For you that don't know, 3-3-5, it is so they have three permanent teams they play all year round, and then five teams will change every year. So they'll play a certain five teams like this year, and the next year they play a completely different five teams. So that's kind of how the format goes for that, which is definitely kind of interesting way of doing it. Honestly, when I looked up the 3-3-5 today, I was like, I read it as like 3-3-5 or 3-5-5. I was like, this makes absolutely no sense to me. So I had to look it up, and that's what it is. And Jacob, I mean, what do you think about this? I'm assuming you love the idea because we've talked about the Big Ten needs to get rid of their divisions as well and just kind of move on from it and have the best two teams play each other. But I mean, what's your opinion about the ACC discussing to move this because it hasn't been fully, gone through?
We've talked about this ad nauseum, I think, and it would be such a good idea. Divisions are such a played out thing in college football right now. They just don't particularly make any sense. Like, I mean, like they do, like, especially like in in the Big Ten, kind of, where they got spread out, and it's kind of easier to keep them, keep you playing the same five teams and then sending you to the other division to play a few every year just to keep maybe the travel down, but like just in terms of competition, which is what I think these conferences need to be worried about. It's better just to get rid of the divisions, make everyone play everyone, especially in the Big Ten where I don't remember what the division the division is called, but the division with Michigan and Ohio State and Michigan State and Penn State is consistently, I mean, not consistently, every single year since they've introduced those two divisions, they've won the Big Ten. That was like 8 years ago. Like, just for the sake of, I mean, like, competition, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, this year, would have everyone not have much rather see Michigan and Ohio State play again the next week? That would have been awesome.
Oh, for sure. I mean, but no one would care about any other conference championships. They'd be like, Ohio State, Michigan playing each other again. I mean, it's what the people want. It's what I want. I mean, I love to see ACC. Granted, the last couple of years of Grand minus last year, Clemson clearly wasn't in it. But the point being is that, like, ACC with Clemson these past couple of years, I feel people probably like, whatever. Because, I'm sure Clemson next year's going to come back and they're going to just lead it. But I feel so much better when you have just the two top teams playing each other. And like you said, in Big Ten, for example, I feel like most years you'd have Penn State, Ohio State playing each other, Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. I mean, every now and then, of course, you have Wisconsin that would be up there and these other teams. But, I mean, it just makes so much more sense to do this, in my opinion. And honestly, I think I can't even say all conference because, man, how big is the SEC? Because, I mean, SEC is probably the only conference I feel like that maybe works best for is to have the divisions. Because is there not, like, quite a bit of teams in the SEC?
I mean, and the other thing with the SEC is there's parity, right? Like, granted, I mean, it's Alabama and Georgia, like, every year, but it's not like one side just completely dominates.
Yeah.
The SEC probably has like 14 teams. But, I mean, the Big Ten has 12 now.
Yeah, SEC has 14, but and to a sense, because like I said, I mean, you always have Georgia, Alabama, you have those other years where Auburn, but like, I mean, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Texas A&M. I mean, Texas A&M's coming up now too. That like, I honestly think it'd be just a good idea to get rid of divisions for all conferences. Let the best two teams play each other. And I think SEC, you more than likely than not, you tend to get that with Georgia on the other side and Alabama, and those years that Florida was good, you had Florida on the other side. I mean, it just makes more sense. I'm glad to see this because, I mean, I just think it's ridiculous that, I mean, especially now with how the playoffs are formed and stuff like that. I mean, if you don't play good competition and you're not, like, conference championship, you play a crappy team in the conference championship. Yeah, you won a conference championship, but people might look at that as like, oh, they didn't really play that good of a team. So we might put this other conference championship who played a top 10 opponent compared to, let's say, like Ohio State a couple of years, when they played like Northwestern and those teams. I mean, I know Ohio State made it anyways, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's better for these conferences. And most time these conference championships, we do see two top 25 teams play each other, but sometimes we see a 2 versus a 25. Or I think you get rid of that, you'll see more. If you play the top two teams, from each conference, you'll get every single year you'll get a 2 versus 10, a 3 versus a 7 or something like that. I just think it makes more sense to do that.
Yeah, just from a competitive standpoint, because, like we talked about, like this year, Michigan and Ohio State would have been, like number 2 versus number 6 or something. But instead, we got to watch Michigan beat Iowa by 30. It's like, I mean, it makes it significantly more competitive. Like, especially in the Big Ten, because like I said, I mean, in the SEC, the matchup is always going to be top 10 because the SEC always has 4 teams in the top 15. I mean, you have that off year where like Florida gets in and they're like a number 20, but like, I mean, you're going to get a good matchup in the SEC title game guaranteed. But since the SEC would be having the same problem if Alabama, Georgia, and Auburn and like Ole Miss were all on the same side.
Yeah.
Like, it would just consistently be, Alabama playing like Florida. Or Texas A. I don't know, Texas A&M is in the Big 12 now.
They're in Alabama. Yeah, but it just, in my head, makes more sense. I'm glad to see it's like, I guess I don't know if that's the form of the Big 12 goes with, if it's like 3-5-5, or I'm sure they do something similar, or I guess I don't know what the Big 12 does, but I honestly, I think they have enough teams where I feel like almost everybody plays everybody throughout the whole year. I mean, maybe minus a couple teams, but I just love to see this. Maybe too. I guess I don't know those years Clemson beat up on all those teams. If there was someone on their side of the conference that would have been a better matchup, I can't think off the top of my head. If they would have played someone better, Clemson probably would have still absolutely destroyed whoever they played anyways those years. But I just like to see this. I think it's a good change for the ACC if they decide to, which I hope they do because it's not a for sure thing right now.
Yeah, like I said, we'll have to see. Hopefully they do it. Like I said, just competitively, it makes it better. And all it takes is for one conference to do it, and the rest will follow after they see how much more productive it is.
Yeah, but let's say I mean, talking about the ACC, kind of just moving on. We're gonna kind of sandwich this with some football, but we're gonna move on to the NBA now, which the playoffs going on. When we talked about sixth man of the year, but big thing right now that we're going to talk about is the Joker winning back-to-back MVPs, which honestly, I mean, Joel Embiid is not happy about. I mean, he thinks just because of the way he acts, stuff like that, people won't give him the MVP. I mean, Jacob, in your opinion, was Joker the MVP, or is this more of like or is Embiid? Because in my opinion, I hate the MVP because it's just like, I think throughout the years, I don't think LeBron should have won the past couple years, but I think LeBron should have like 8 MVPs. He should. You're saying the most valuable player, in my opinion, is LeBron. Honestly, if you say this year, the most valuable player, in my opinion, would be Giannis again. I mean, I think we're kind of changed where I feel like Giannis can win MVP year after year, the point we're at right now. But MVP thing has changed. I mean, maybe you have a different opinion on me, but I mean, what do you think about Joker winning the MVP this year?
I mean, I think he would have had my vote, but I'm a big Jokic guy. I super enjoy him. I think he's really fun to watch, and I think he's just a unicorn. He's just something else. I mean, like him. I mean, the league is kind of at a point now where like there are guards out there who are getting 8-9 rebounds a game, like Westbrook, DeJounte Murray. But like there aren't centers in the top 10 in assists. I mean, and I saw Embiid say, good for him, he deserved it, but like, what do I have to do at this point to win MVP? And I mean, the answer is average 28 points a game, 13 boards and 8 assists. I mean, and single-handedly, lead your team to like a 5 seed when there's no other talent around.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what it seems to be. Oh, because I mean,
he had a better year. I mean, I don't know what you want. I mean, like I don't know what you want me.
I mean, and these are the stats right now. So Embiid averaged 30.6, Jokic 27.1, rebounds. The Joker averaged 13.8, Embiid 11.7, then assists. Joker averaged 7.9, and then Embiid averaged 4.2. So I mean, in a standpoint, if you say I score more points, like I'm better player, whatever. But like stats wise, I mean, he wasn't that behind on points. And like I said, Joker just does everything. I mean, you don't see a guy like that who dishes out assists and also averages 14 rebounds and then can put up 27, 28 points on average and then just go off for a game. Like, you don't really see that, like I said, a unicorn. I mean, it's interesting. I love that guy. I love his two brothers more, honestly, the ones that just tend to just threaten people all the time. Just like, oh, you want to beat up or talk crap, like meet us in the parking lot. Like I love seeing stuff about his brothers.
The Jokic bros, the Jokic bros, and the who did and the Morris brothers. That's gonna be like Hatfield and McCoy's. It's just gonna be like
yeah, no crap. Well, honestly too, and okay, I'm also looking here. Jokic shot 9% better from the field than Embiid did.
He was almost 60%.
Yeah, 58.3, and
he averaged more points a game this year on less shots than he took last year.
I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, then you can go look at blocks and steals, but they're basically the same and stuff like that. I mean, Jokic has played more games than Embiid, not much, but I don't know. It's just the thing is, if the Sixers lose tonight, the Nuggets, they're all like. Everyone's because like when Russell Westbrook won MVP, it's like, oh man, we're giving to someone who's on a bad team. Like I don't know what the media and what everybody looks at when they look for MVP because I just dislike is like I said, in my head you say most valuable player, but maybe they do it like this because it makes sense. Because then they can just like give it to different people who've had a great season. But I feel it's
To
like
me, the MVP is the best season award. Like that's not what the name is, but like to me, that's what an MVP is. I mean, it pretty much comes down to who had the best season. You know,
no, for sure. Well, and that's my point.
which I'm fine with. I mean, like we can get into whether that's what the name of the award implies, but like to me, like that's what the award means.
No, I know that's definitely what it means, but I'm just saying like I'm not saying you're gonna change the name. I probably sound stupid contradicting here, but like in my opinion, it's like when you just say most valuable player, in my head you're thinking like, okay, who's the best valuable player in the league right now? I wouldn't think it's the Joker. I wouldn't think it's Embiid. My head would be Giannis. I think it's been Giannis for the past 4 years now. I mean, I understand, but I understand that's what they do. They say who's had the best season, and when you look at Giannis' stats compared to them too, it's not as good. I mean, honestly, Giannis basically averages the same thing that Embiid did, just literally about the exact same thing, but averaged more assists than him. From
Yeah,
what I'm looking at,
yeah,
he averaged the
like I
same
said,
amount of points.
Embiid wouldn't even been my second place vote. Like I would have had Giannis at two.
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't even see the voting polls of how many people had first round. The thing is, when's the last time we've had a 3-time MVP? Would have been like, did Jordan do that? I mean,
I don't think Jordan never did. I think it would probably be like Kareem.
see, it's just one of those things that next year, like if you're betting on this for next year for MVP, like I would not bet on the Joker because there's no unless he just has a ludicrous, like absolutely ludicrous season. Like
I mean, like in order to continue winning MVP, you have to keep being better because there is fatigue in the voters. The voters don't want to vote for the same guy 3 years in a row. Like I said, I mean, like LeBron, like in his 4 years with the Heat, probably should have won it every year. He won.
Oh.
I think he won 3 with the Heat, though. I think he won 4 in a 5-year span, and he hasn't won any since. Like I said, I mean, I think people have got sick of voting for LeBron. Like I said, as sad as it is to say, like I said, and I don't agree with it. I mean, like LeBron probably should have won 8 MVPs. I mean, and Jordan probably should have won 8 or 9 too, and he only won like 5. I mean, like it's one of those things where the voters don't want to continue to vote for the same guy year after year. So, I mean, and the same thing happened with Westbrook. I mean, he had an identical season the year after he won MVP, and I don't think he got any votes.
yeah,
And that's because averaging a triple double was cool when you do it once. Then it's not really after that.
yeah, and Jacob too. I'm talking about MVP and stuff like this. Like, in your opinion, like people, I've seen some tweets like, just this year, like lately, where people just like Giannis could be the next consideration for a GOAT. Like, I mean, he doesn't seem like to be slowing down. He's a very young player. I mean, do you for sure? I mean, could you see like 10 years from now we're talking about Giannis being the dude? Like, was he better than LeBron or this and that? The completely different play styles. I mean,
Yeah, but
LeBron.
I mean, honestly, he's at this point in his career. I mean, like compare LeBron at 27, Giannis at 27. Like LeBron hadn't any titles yet, and Giannis has 2 MVPs. I mean, like, I definitely don't think it's out of the question to say Giannis can be the best player ever when he's done.
And see, my thing is, clearly LeBron hasn't slowed down athletically. I mean, not saying Giannis will either, but like, the thing about LeBron is he can shoot like a lot better than I mean, Giannis has definitely became a lot better shooter in these last couple of years, and I think he's just going to get better. But I think when he gets older to like LeBron's still very explosive, but it almost seems like LeBron's explosive only when he wants to be, or like it's not like when he was younger and he's just constantly explosive all the time. So I think if he not Embiid, if Giannis can like develop a better shooting game, because he's still a lot better shooter than he has for years now. But like, I don't know. I think we can look 10 years from now and be like, Giannis. I mean, he's going to be up there anyways. I mean, maybe we still think it's just LeBron and MJ just because how dominant they are. But Giannis is dominating right now. I just don't think we talk about it that much. Like when LeBron was younger, dominating, it was like LeBron, and now it's Giannis. But I don't think we really talk about it much about Giannis dominating like he is.
Yeah, I mean, of all the guys like active right now, Giannis is probably the only one I can see being able to surpass LeBron as the other guy for contention as best player ever. Like maybe Luka can. Like I said, I mean, Luka's only like 23. I mean, he has 4 years to catch up to Giannis essentially at this point. I mean, and I could definitely see Luka winning 2 MVPs in the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, no, for sure. Honestly, next year with the Joker, honestly, I feel like next year will be like I think it'll be like an Embiid or a Luka year because like I mean, like just think about the voters. You don't you tend to see that they don't like to, like you said, 3 years in a row, and they'll give a year break or two break, then they might pick someone again that they had. That's just what it seems like. Honestly, I could see a Luka or Embiid next year. Like I said, in my opinion, if you're asking me about the award itself, I'd say Giannis again. But I mean, he doesn't seem to be slowing down at all.
No, I mean, he's actually getting better. I mean, he's still one of the best defensive players in the league. Said his shooting is getting better. It's still not great, but his shooting is definitely getting better. And I'm excited. I mean, and he probably has 5 more years to figure out his jumper before his athleticism starts to wane a little bit. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, like,
he has
plenty of time. I'm excited. I mean, it took LeBron that long. I mean, the Spurs swept the Cavs in 2005. No, in 2007 because they just decided not to guard LeBron. He shot like 28% from the 3-point line. You know.
Yeah.
like I said, I mean, like LeBron had a very similar thing where, I mean, the way to beat LeBron when he was on the Cavs, you know, before he really got into his prime was to just not guard him, you know, from deep, not guard him like the way you do to Ben Simmons, but like or Russell Westbrook. But I mean, like that was the thing. I mean, it was like sag off. I mean, you know he's gonna blow by you if you try to play tight. So you're just gonna, you're just gonna wall up and let him shoot threes. If he makes threes, and then he makes threes, yeah. Right? But I mean. Like I said, it's just one of those things where, like I said, he has plenty of time to develop, you know, a jumper. Like I said, and he doesn't. Like I said, I mean, I think he'll be an athletic freak until he's 35 or 36. So I mean, like he just needs to be able to shoot it like a little bit, and he'll be fine. Like I said, so long as he doesn't lose his athleticism. Like I said, and I mean, he will at some point when, especially with, you know, how good training is these days and nutrition. Like, you know, I mean, like people are seeing what Brady and LeBron are doing. They're like, gee, if I take care of myself, I can stay in my prime until I'm 35 or 36. You know, and LeBron could have led the league in scoring if he just played like 2 or 3 more games this year. Not as efficient as he has been. I mean, another stat, I mean, like, if you look at PER, I mean, like, Jokic led the league in PER. Like, Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid were by far the 3 best guys in PER, and then LeBron was, like, 5 points behind him. So, I mean, as I said, and Jokic played 6, 7 more games than Giannis and Embiid did. So, I mean, I think you have to factor that in. Like, if you're playing 65 games, I mean, Giannis and Embiid played 67 or 68, which is, like I think that's enough games. But, like, I think the fact that Jokic is out there for 74 games, you know, is important. 'Cause, I mean, guys just don't play that many games anymore. Like, I'm looking at all these guys, and, like, not very many of them are playing over 75 games. Even guys like Trae Young, he played 76 games. Jimmy Butler played 57 games, you know? Like, these guys aren't playing as many games as they used to.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, he'll take care of himself. He'll be able to just do what he does now, where he just puts his head down and just trucks through everybody, goes to the lane. For a long time, he'll be able to develop his shot here. But, I mean, like I said, just speaking of the Bucks, Giannis and Embiid, I mean, we can kind of talk about the playoffs here for a little bit, I suppose. And, I mean, big thing, we have a lot of good series. They're all playing in Game 6s right now. And, like I said, the Heat and the Sixers are playing right now, actually. Suns, Mavericks play tonight. And we have the Celtics, Bucks, I mean, Warriors, Grizzlies. I mean, they're all Game 6 right now. I mean, we've had great series and stuff like that. Any surprises right now?
I mean, I'm going to say I'm shocked that the Grizzlies have taken Warriors to 6 games, and they've won pretty. I mean, and they've actually played quite well. I mean, they were leading game 5. Like 41-38 at halftime. Like the Warriors are actually playing quite poorly right now. Like, which it's a bit of a shocker after how easily they took care of the Nuggets. I mean, I said after the last series, I don't care who wins between the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. I said whoever wins that is getting swept at best. They're making it 5 games. So, I mean, that's definitely a surprise to me. I didn't really foresee that happening. But like I said, the Grizzlies are playing well, even without Ja. They easily could have won by 50 last night without Ja on the floor. And and the Warriors have just kind of been playing poorly. So I mean, this could definitely go to 7. I mean, that's really the only surprise. I'm not really that surprised that the Heat and the 76ers are competitive. I'm slightly surprised at how much the Suns have struggled with the Mavs, but I mean, Luka. I mean, like, playoff Luka is a real thing. I mean, the dude is a horse. I mean, you just can't stop him. So, I mean, that's that's tough. But like I said, I mean, other than that, I thought the Celtics were going to win this series, but I mean, I kind of have a hard time seeing them win it now. It's going to be tough to beat the Bucks in these next 2 games, so we'll see what happens. But I mean, like I said, it's been a great series.
If the freaking Celtics could just rebound, they probably wouldn't have to worry about the freaking Bucks. They Giannis misses a free throw when they're up one and bounces off 3 Celtics players' hands and then into Bobby Portis's hands and puts up a layup and screws us over that game. Honestly, a lot of things kind of surprised me. The Warriors have. I think they'll handle it. I mean, with Ja, I mean, like I told you before the podcast, I mean, Ja was out for a handful of the season this year, and the Memphis Grizzlies went on a winning streak, or not winning streak, but they won so many games out of 20 games or however many games. Like Memphis was rocking when he was out. So I mean, they're a good team without him. I think the Warriors will get their crap together. I think they'll figure it out. Heat Sixers, I thought, not surprising. I think the Heat will win tonight. I think they're winning right now. If they don't, I mean, I foresee the Heat winning. I just hate the Sixers so much too, dude. Like, not a fan of. And then Celtics. I mean, last podcast I was screaming in the mic like Celtics in 5, Celtics in 6. I still got confidence in them. I think they're going to take the next game and they'll go to Game 7, and I still have confidence in my Celtics. I think they're still going to take it. I mean, Giannis is just a different dude. I mean, you got to actually try to contain him as much as you can. You're not going to contain that dude, but contain him as much as you can. And Suns Mavericks, I'm not really surprised, honestly. I mean, Luka's is a dude. The Suns. Chris Paul went on a big run there. We had some great playoff games. He's kind of slowed down since those first couple of games or whatnot. But I don't know. It's been a very good second round of playoffs. I'm looking forward to see he's next. I mean, by the time our next podcast, we'll have the conference championship matchups. So be interesting to see who it is. I'm hoping it's Heat Celtics and Suns Warriors. Honestly, I think those would be two good series, or even Heat Bucks. I mean, if the Bucks win, that'll be a great series too. Honestly, I just want to see Heat Celtics because I like both those teams. So everyone from that side, and I'm just not really. Besides the Eastern Conference, not a team I hate right now because I just dislike the Sixers, and then the Bucks have been like the Celtics' kryptonite the last 4 years. So, granted,
I'm personally rooting for the Suns because I just want Chris Paul to win one. Like I said, I mean, at this point, I don't really have any gripes with the Sixers, and I'm not a fan of Embiid, but I'm not like a disliker of Embiid. I'm pretty neutral towards Embiid, I think. I'm not a fan. I don't dislike him. Just like I said, I like the Heat too. So I mean, I think if I had to cheer for 2 teams, it'd be for the Suns to play the Heat, which is what I'm projecting at the moment. But yeah, go ahead. You're saying something.
Oh no, I was just saying. I just kind of look forward to it, and I said the Heat, Celtics. I'm still rolling with the Celtics. I'm gonna say, I'm still predicting Celtics. Celtics are gonna be in the championship. I'm not saying they're gonna win. I'm still rolling with my team. I gotta roll with my team. I mean, as long as Tatum's been playing good or whatnot. So, just as long as I'm just kind of curious what the Celtics, if they lose this series. I mean, they've had such a good team these last couple of years and haven't had nothing, not even like a conference championship or like anything to show for it. And I'm kind of curious if they'll start making moves. I mean, there was talk about getting rid of Jaylen Brown and stuff like that. And I mean, hopefully they maybe get some pickups in the offseason or something. But I feel like if the Celtics lose this series, they're going to start making moves this offseason. If it's moving Tatum's definitely staying, but if they move Brown or, I mean, who knows what they do. I mean, Al Horford freaking saved us in game 4 when he went off for 30 points. And I don't know. I'm just looking forward to these playoffs, seeing how it kind of happens, and we'll see what happens next week when we talk and who's all in the conference championships.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be remotely upset if we got the Mavericks versus the Grizzlies, just because why not?
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm gonna either want the Suns and the Warriors or the Grizzlies and the Mavs, but that's kind of what I'm still rolling with my Suns over on prediction. So we'll just have to wait and see when one of those guys loses before I have to bail out of that.
Yeah, and I have nothing else to say. Hopefully, as I said, I'm sure we'll get some good playoff games here and some players that will go off, kind of like random players like Al Horford. But Jay, we're gonna move into the NFL, but I'm actually gonna let you take over because you know more about the topic we're gonna talk here about, and you can kind of just discuss it and bring it up or whatnot?
Absolutely. So I wanted to talk about, because I think this is hilarious. Former Jaguars kicker Josh Lambo is officially suing the Jaguars over the way Urban Meyer treated him at practice. Now, you may be wondering, well, what did Urban Meyer do? You can go back and read about some of the stuff, but the big one is, apparently, he would just berate him, tell him he sucked, and apparently he even kicked him at one point. And he said, they end up cutting him, I think, at some point. And it kind of sounds like it got really ugly there. But I'm just gonna find some little snippets of this article, and it's just hilarious. Yeah, so he's suing him for violating the Private Sector Whistleblower Act, and that he's claiming that Urban Meyer's actions violated his civil, criminal, and employment rights by concerning assault, battery, and workplace violence. This is an NFL head coach. Oh man!
Hey, I love my man Urban Meyer. I know he's a.
I love watching him fail.
But love that man. He's failed once, and that was the NFL. The other years in college football, he dominated. Granted, with his other, not minus his scandals and all that stuff that happened, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. A lot of stuff has come out about some of these coaches treating their players badly, and I think just more people are speaking up about it. Clearly Urban Meyer no one liked him there. But the thing is, so he's suing the Jags, right? He's not suing, Urban Meyer.
Yeah, no, he's suing the Jaguars, not Urban Meyer, because he's basically saying that, the Jaguars, you guys knew that Urban Meyer was treating me like shit, and you guys didn't do anything about it, basically.
I see.
Like I said, he alleged that Meyer's actions impacted his ability to sleep, practice, and perform. That is, like I said, there's probably plenty of verbally abusive coaches out there in the NFL. Honestly, most of them probably are. I think it's part of just being a professional head coach. But I think Lambo is saying that he took it even further than is typical, Like I said, I'm trying to think back when this first came out, and he was
way back.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember some of the things that he claimed he said. He would say, he would call him dipshit. He'd be like, "Hey, dipshit, why don't you make some field goals?" And he'd threaten to he said he'd just kick him. It's such a weird. Like I said, I don't know if that's standard, but
yeah, I don't know.
Said, this whole situation has just been hilarious to me.
No, right now, the Jaguars are what the Texans were when they're getting rid of JJ or TJ, the whole Deshaun Watson, everyone, and when they traded I can't think of his name right now to the Cardinals. Wide receiver Jacob. Why can't I think of his name? Hopkins?
Yeah.
DeAndre?
That was when it all started to fall apart.
I know the Jaguars were already bad, so it's not but it's almost I just imagine it right now, because when that was happening, everyone's like, man, the Texans is just a messed up organization. Right now, it's man, the Jags are a real messed up organization right now. I don't think as bad as you think the Texans, but it's just funny that the Jaguars have just kind of been all sorts of messed up these past couple, especially after hiring Urban. It's just kind of been interesting to see their whole organization there and how things and stories that have came up about them these past couple of years.
Okay, further down this article, here's a specific interaction that Josh Lambo is talking about. He said, at one point in practice, Urban Meyer kicked him in the leg while he was stretching. Language warning here, folks. I'm going to swear because I don't like it. I'm not gonna bleep this stuff out. Lambo, after kicking him, Meyer, after kicking Lambo, said, "Hey, dipshit, make your fucking kicks," and then kicked him in the leg. Lambo then followed by saying, "Don't you ever fucking kick me again." Lambo then said, "I'm the head coach. I'll kick you whenever the fuck I want." And then apparently the next day, Urban Meyer said, "If you ever talk to me like that again, you're done. You're the first player I've ever let speak to me like that. And if you do it again, you're done." Which is because your 20-year-old kid, if you kick him and say, "Make your fucking kicks," isn't going to say anything. This is a grown man with kids, in a family. Yeah,
no. Well, the thing is, too, we say kick. I want to know how, I highly doubt Urban, full up winded kicked him. Like I'm sure.
I mean,
that,
it was
I'm
honestly,
sure-
it was
I'm
probably
sure-
like a
I'm
little
sure-
love tap, but like I think it was just the fact that like it, that like he did that. Lambo was like, why would you do that?
Well, I'm sure. I'm sure it's a little harder than a love tap, but kind of like a little harder. But like I don't know. It's just yeah, like I said, he's not. He's dealing with grown men, not college kids. Who basically college kids will just like listen to what he says and like because like I said, they don't have not a grown man, don't have kids, don't have, like the wife and all that. Like they're just gonna listen to their coach, unlike these professional players. Oh, it's just all sorts of messed up. It's kind of a funny story, honestly.
It is. I mean, and Lambo is the most accurate kicker in Jaguars history, and they cut him last year after starting the season 21 for 24, which isn't like great, but like there's worse kickers who have kept their job after starting the season 21 for 24. And considering he was, like I said, I mean, like the most accurate kicker in Jags history, and like it kind of, like I said, I mean, like he's not saying this, but I mean, he's kind of alleging that like he got kicked, he got cut because Urban Meyer didn't like the way that basically that he stood up for himself.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like I said, I mean, listen, maybe he's lying about everything, and he's just salty he got cut over maybe like a couple weeks of bad performance. But I mean, like, I kind of feel like he's not lying. Maybe this isn't the whole truth, kind of a thing. So I mean, we'll never really know. But I will be following this lawsuit very closely because I don't like Urban Meyer, and I think this is hilarious.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a funny story that is occurring. I'm sure more stuff will come out about it too. But I think we should move on to after I have a funny story after that kind of a funny topic. Though, going on to our MLB, which last topic, which basically talking about how Reid, I don't even know how to say it. Detmers.
I've always
Whatever.
said Detmers.
Reid Detmers throws the first no-hitter of the year this year off of only 2 strikeouts, which I feel like you do not see no-hitters thrown with only 2 strikeouts. I mean, you'll see like 7, 8, or 6 or something like that, but he didn't strike out 3 people for like 1 inning total. Like it's kind of funny that he did, and also what happened during that game with all the bombs that were hit from Trout and all these players, because I can't remember who were they playing again.
The Rays.
The Rays, yeah. When they threw just a position player out there to throw the ball, and freaking
Trout just, I mean,
Trout
yeah. made like a conceited effort to hit that ball as far as he possibly could.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like you can see in the video. I mean, he swung, I think, harder than he's probably ever swung in his career, and just hit a tank.
Yeah,
like rubbing it in on top of. I mean, through 8 innings, they had no hits, and then Trout goes up, and then Rendon walks up like 2 batters later, and decides he's gonna play a joke and just hit lefty, for craps and laughs, and then just hits a nuke. So just rubbing salt in the wound. I mean, it's one of those things where they just couldn't hit the ball, like it happens. I mean, and I looked into it when I saw it, and there's been 3 no-hitters in history where the pitcher didn't strike out a single player. The last one happened in like the 50s though. And since then, there was 1 no-hitter with 1 strikeout, and there's been like 3 or 4 with 2. I think the last one was in like 2010.
Well, I mean, it's my point. You just don't see it.
It doesn't happen where, like you said, I mean, when the ball gets put into play 25 times, like you're bound to get at least 1 or 2 hits. Like I said, yeah, that's just bad luck. Like when a guy goes out there and strikes out 15 guys, you're like, okay, he was on.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's just my point. It's interesting. And it's I don't know if there was a combined, but it's the first no-hitter of the year. Unlike last year in the MLB when there was just no-hitter. It seemed like every other day for the start of the season when there was just another no-hitter. And this year's the first one from – I know you talked about before the show that this was only the second complete game pitched this year in the MLB,
second
too.
shutout. There's been 3 complete games.
Yeah, second shutout, 3 complete games, but I mean, that's the MLB's turning a lot to the bullpen. You don't see a lot of starting pitchers even pitch past 6 innings. A lot of pitchers pitch 4 or 5 and then they're done.
Honestly, I mean, like like for most managers, if your starter can get you through 5 innings and only give up 2 runs, like that's a successful outing. Then you pull and go to the bullpen. I mean,
exactly.
and especially this season, just because of the shortened spring training, like the starters haven't been throwing as much, so they're not quite as ready. Like I kind of get that this year. Like I think normally there's normally a few more complete games, but just because, I mean, the pitchers haven't had as long, to get their arms ready for the season. Makes sense, which is why they pulled Kershaw after going 7 innings perfect against the Twins. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I still personally think that is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But I mean, and Kershaw was a great sport. He's like, hey, I'm not going to complain. Like, we're all just, we're all trying to stay healthy for the season. I don't think it was a bad idea. I think he actually said that it was a good decision, which I have a hard time believing that he actually thinks that. But if I got pulled after 7 innings of a perfect game, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, no, honestly.
I'd be mad.
Honestly, Jake, do you know that this Reid Detmers, he's actually younger than both of us?
Yeah, I mean,
This
he's the
was
Angels' top prospect. This was his 11th career start.
I was gonna say I'm only like 8 days older than this guy, but it's just weird getting to that age now where it's just like, oh, all these young guys are really good and like rookie of the year, like all stars, and it's just like, oh crap, I'm like older than, even when I watch like college basketball and stuff, like I imagine that like I'm not older than them. I still imagine that like I'm looking up at them like they're older than me, but I'm older than all of them. It's just weird now.
Yeah, it's weird when you get to. I mean, like it was my sophomore year of high. I mean, of college when when all the one and dones for my freshman year were playing in the NBA, and I was like, gee, look at Lonzo out there. He's the same age. He's making $5 million a year playing for the Lakers, second overall draft pick, and I'm sitting in my dorm room studying for an economics test.
Yeah,
like, how lame is that?
Yeah, no crap.
Or like, I mean, I pointed out to Grant like a few months ago that I'm older than DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf was born in December of '97. I was born in September of '97. Like the fact that like I'm older than DK Metcalf. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like that's not right. Like that like defies physics.
Yeah, no, it's weird to think about. I'm pretty sure like I'm older than like Zion. Like when he was at Duke and stuff like that, I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like,
is Zion even 21 yet?
I about imagine he is. I mean,
he's 21 max. Let's pull up the Google. Okay, he's 21. He'll turn 22 in July. So yeah, but he said he's 21. That dude hasn't been old enough to drink for less than a year.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob, I'm sure when you look at Zion, you don't think you're actually older than him.
No, but like I got him by 3 years.
Yeah, like, I don't know, it's just weird. I mean, just weird to see a no hitter by that. It's weird to see that this guy is younger than me who just threw a no hitter. I don't know. It's just kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, I'm definitely not dunking and throwing no hitters.
Yeah, I mean, interesting to see no hitter from a kid that's young, and then also just see weird stuff of position hitter, and then these guys just hitting bombs off him. Which I just talked to you before the show. It's like you're not going to give up because I know they're throwing a position hitter, so the other team's basically saying this game's over. But like, there's crazy stuff where teams have 8-9 run innings. I mean, there was like last week. I think it was Mets and the Phillies playing each other. I can't remember which team was which that came back, but yeah, they're up like nine runs, and the Phillies or Mets, can't remember which one, had like a 7-inning run, and the other team ended up winning. That came back. It's like that happens. So I mean, got no one from that game complained, but I just remember it was like 2 weeks ago when there was a game where the team was pissed that in the 9th inning they're up 8 runs and they're still trying to score runs. I think it was Washington Nationals. I can't remember who they're playing, but they're just pissed that.
Well, because
I mean, like they were trying to score.
Like they were like tagging up on like on pop flies, to score runs. And they're like, oh, unspoken rules. You're running up the score. Like I said, I mean, like I said, it was like a 7-run game. Like it was those things where it's like if the other team like just got through the lineup, like it's a tie game. Like
no,
like listen,
exactly.
I mean, like scoring 7-8 runs in an inning isn't common, but like it happens.
Oh, exactly.
So but, I don't have any issues with it. I think the unspoken rule of baseball are stupid. Like let them have fun. I think it should be mandatory to bat flip when you hit a nuke. Like I think like it should be against the rules. Like I think it should be fined for not bat flipping. Like
Yeah.
do cool stuff.
Yeah, I know. All the unspoken rules of baseball are all kind of whack to me and stuff like that. But
Like Jose Bautista in the playoffs that one year, like that's like the greatest moment in baseball history. That was the biggest, like most pimpin' bat flip I've ever seen and will ever see.
oh yeah, dude, that was crazy. And to this day, it's like one
Just
thing of
murdered the Rangers, man. Just like just,
that's pretty awesome.
the aggression at which he chucked that bat. Like that wasn't even a flip. Like that was straight up like bat javelin. Like just bah! Like do that every time you hit a bomb. Like and when they beat you next game, I guess good, you get first base.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And here's the thing: I think you should get beaned when you like. I think you should bat toss. I think you should get beaned for bat tossing. I think everyone should just be bad sports to each other. I think it just makes the game more fun.
Well, it makes it more fun for the fans too, especially in a game of baseball where, I mean, they're trying to change the game and make all these different rules, so it's more fun to watch and stuff like that. So when you start banning people from having fun, it just kind of makes it more boring for the fans to watch too.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I mean, same thing happened like last year, like when, like Fernando Tatis, he hit a grand slam in like the 8th inning when they were up like 11 runs, and his manager got pissed at him. Like his manager's like, oh no, he knows better than that. It's like then what? Like maybe you shouldn't throw a fastball down the middle.
No, exactly.
Like be a better pitcher. Like don't be mad because the other guy's doing his job. Like I said, I mean, and like the more home runs and RBIs and stuff you hit, you know, the better your contract's going to be. Like these guys should try put in the same effort, you know, every single at bat. Like it's such a stupid thing, but
Yeah, no, but
I'll end my rant there.
yeah, I was gonna say I have nothing else to say about anything else, Jacob. I mean, I guess I don't know if you do either, but
No, it's good to be back. We'll call it good there, I think.
yeah, it's good to have you back. And like I said, next week we'll have some conference finals to probably talk about. I mean, I guess depending on when some of these games get done, stuff like that. But hopefully have some other stuff to come with you guys next week. And thank you guys for listening.